Hey everyone, this is Christian and my co-host.
Oh, they can't. Can they see me? No, Jinno Rufino.
Right. So I think on the podcast we're not going to be seen. This is technically going to be our very first podcast together, and ironically, it's on June 1, which is, I don't know if you heard about this, the start of Survivor Philippines.
Wow, so GCQ.
Yeah, matira matibay.
Matira matibay.
Yeah,
Saya.
I
Ang
know.
saya.
Well, what do you think about that, man? Like, are you planning to go out today? I saw outside. I was looking out my window. There are a lot of cars outside. A
Yeah,
lot
for
of
sure.
people are going out.
No, I mean for sure. They start they lowered it to GCQ not because we're safe from the virus, we're safe from COVID-19. It's because they need to restart the economy somehow, right? That's the reason why it's GCQ. It's not because we flattened the curve.
Exactly. Oh,
I think,
as a matter of fact, we did the opposite. The last 2 days prior to today, the number of COVID cases went up dramatically at 800 per day.
yeah, something like that. But then, of course, the DOH said no. There's two different types of positive cases. There's the new cases, and there's the cases that were delayed. So meaning to say, with that statement, it's like saying for the past 2.5 months or 3 months,
They haven't been.
giving us updates that was inaccurate.
No, but I'll also add to that. I think that the data alone cannot be given in a vacuum. They have to give the data
Yeah.
with other data with it. For example, if you say there are 800 new cases, how many tests did you do that day
Yes.
versus the other days?
Yes.
Maybe the other days they only did 500 tests a day, so they only got 20 new cases versus maybe
Yeah.
yesterday they did 5,000. So obviously they'll get more. So
Yeah.
people have
Yeah.
to look at the entire spectrum, and I think the problem is most will just accept that number in a vacuum and then take out all the
Yeah.
other information.
Which is what I think they've been relying on, right? They're not giving all the information that's necessary to make a better judgment of this whole thing, because I mean, but there were talks about doing the mass testing. Where was that?
Well, yeah, I honestly don't think it's going to happen.
Uh,
I don't think the government has the will, not the capability. I believe they don't have the will to do it. And I really think what's happening right now is just the government saying, listen, this COVID thing is out of our control and the economy will die. And we are going to go into a depression, a massive depression. A lot of people, do you think we have a lot of poor now? Boy, we're going to add to that. And let's just say, screw it. And again, like I know I say it in a joking manner, but it really feels like matira matibay na ngayon. And
yeah,
good luck na lang to us. And
yeah, but
this COVID is not as bad as people say it is. I don't know.
maybe it's not like maybe it's just bad for a certain age bracket, unfortunately. But I think that's been proven. But basically, what in essence, what's happened with this is that they're saying, or the past 3 months of being in quarantine and lockdown really was for nothing.
Yeah, yun lang ang sayang. We just wasted a lot of resources and destroyed a lot of jobs for nothing at this point. You're right. That is a good way of looking at it. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
But now here's the thing though. Assuming that this COVID thing maybe in this time, yes, it's bad because there will be a lot of deaths. Yes. But as this just progresses along, the death will naturally start to drop.
yeah.
Because most of the people that will get it, that will die, will have died, and the ones that are not going to die will not die and just eventually develop the antibodies and live on, right? It sounds morbid. I'm not trying to belittle
That
human death. I mean,
that's so basically it's immunity.
herd immunity, right?
Yeah. That they should have just done that from the start if they were just going to do this, right?
Yeah, here's an interesting statistic, by the way. I just checked just kanina lang this morning, and I realized that Sweden, diba, has this herd immunity idea that they were doing.
Well, they don't want to admit it, but it seems like that's what they did.
Oh yeah, they're not saying it, right? But what they're doing is saying, let's just practice proper social distancing and please be careful, but we're not going to restrict anything. Okay, here's the thing that made me curious. In the Netherlands, they practiced the lockdown, social distancing, everything, masks, everything. All right.
Yeah.
Do you know that they have the same? They have a higher amount of cases, but their population is 70. Like if Sweden's 100 million, Netherlands is 17 million. So understandably, they're gonna have a little bit higher, a little bit. But what's curious to me was that the Netherlands had just as much deaths versus cases as Sweden. Yet they practice uh, two different ways of dealing with COVID-19. So maybe even with the lockdown, it's not making a difference.
Yeah, maybe it isn't, right? I mean, it's what country has really succeeded in with this?
Well,
Where was it? Vietnam had like they claim that they've beaten the, what was it,
zero deaths. That's what
zero
they're
deaths.
claiming.
So,
But again, that's what they're claiming. Remember that even in the Philippines, we know for a fact that not all the deaths from COVID-19 are reported. That's a fact. So what like even Russia would not even give the right numbers. So I don't know if any country's even really getting the right data to begin with. The data they're
Maybe
getting
not.
is a very limited data based on the number of tests you're able to provide. But you can't test the entire population. It's just impossible to do in a short amount of time. So all the data we're getting is still not conclusive. Even the data I told you about Netherlands and Sweden is not conclusive that it's not working, because that depends on how many are you testing and have you tested everyone and how many are symptomatic. Do we even know? All of those factors. So it's so hard because I think we're attacking this problem blindly.
Yeah, it's parang ano, hit or miss. Let's try this, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this.
Yeah. Remember that the WHO and the CDC at the start of this said don't wear masks.
Yeah.
And then they changed to wear masks. So you know that they're also in a state of flux in trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And I think wouldn't it be ironic? Wouldn't it be ironic, you know, if at the end of all of this you realize Trump was right?
Flu lang pala siya.
Oh my God. So I mean, I've been watching, you know, like Joe Rogan. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but I watch because I'm curious to hear perspectives. And he is really starting to sound. He's starting to really sound like he is championing some of the rhetoric that I hear from Trump. Now he's saying that no, there shouldn't be. You can't force people to wear masks. No, you know, this lockdown is ridiculous. He's starting to sound like that. He's actually saying that you know, just have the businesses open. If we're gonna die, we're gonna die. And I'm like, wow, whoa, this is like I started to see a shift in how he sounds, and I'm like, this is quite interesting. So, and in the States, what's happening right now is freaking chaos.
Yeah. I mean, there's been different types of protests in Hong Kong, in Brazil, right, all over the world. I think the one in the States is the one that's getting a lot of attention because it's that thing has been going on forever. That same problem that they have that ignited this whole thing has been going on for decades, for different generations.
Man, since pretty much the start of American independence, and beyond, if you think about it, and it's just really coming to light. And it's not, you know, what's interesting? I think it was who was it? A very famous celebrity in the States said, if I'm not mistaken, was it like Will Smith or something, that said, you know, the violence is not getting worse; it's getting filmed.
Yeah. It was Will Smith who said that. I could believe that, right? There's more coverage of anything today more than ever in history. I think camera phones, social media, everything has it's gotten to a point where it's everything is instantly broadcasted to the world, and it takes like one retweet, one repost,
Yep.
one whatever for things to go viral, and then it becomes a big huge issue. Like if that thing wasn't videotaped, right? If that incident with Floyd wasn't videotaped, and then people just heard about it in the news without the visual, I'm curious to know if the outrage would have been as fast and as big.
Right. I'll give you an example of something like that happened about 3 or 4 decades ago. Wow, that long ago. 3 decades ago, I'd say.
I wouldn't remember, so you tell me.
Right. So I'm like, I'm being careful, eh? But do you remember Rodney King?
Yeah, of
Rodney
course.
King. That was in the 1990s. It was 1990s. 91, I think, or something like that. And he was beaten to a pulp.
Yeah.
He didn't die. He didn't die, but he was beaten badly, right? And that caused the LA riots. And that was
Yeah.
because it was covered by the news. The news was able
Yes.
to cover it.
And didn't they use the video from like a cop car or something like this? Like how did they get obtain the video? I don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't remember if it was the news or if it was from.
But
Uh, oh,
there's video of it. There's video of it that I remember it. I
yeah.
remember as a kid.
So it was the
Seeing that.
video that was spread all over the news that created the riots, and it was
Yeah.
insane. LA was burning. That's what the tagline was. LA was burning, and I was in LA when that
During that
happened.
time?
Right at
Wow.
that moment, I was trying to get a burger in Westwood near UCLA, and I'm trying to order a burger in this restaurant, and the waitress is like, "What are you still doing here?" And I'm like, "Aren't you guys gonna take part?" He goes, "There's a freaking riot coming this way," and I'm like, "What?" And then as soon as I got out, man, traffic jams everywhere. Everyone's trying to get out of LA. It was insane.
Wow.
Now, I think today is faster because of the internet. Unbelievable, the reaction of the
Yeah.
people. Now, do you think? I mean, obviously, I think we both agree that what's happening, the rioting is understandable.
Yeah.
Where is that line drawn? The looting is bad.
Sure. I mean, because what in essence what's happening, no? Like the communities, the stores that are up, whether it's a Target or a mom and pop business, those businesses, provide jobs, provide food, provide essentials to that community,
Right.
and it's being destroyed. So of course you understand the anger, you understand the fear, you understand the hate, you understand everybody gets. I mean, you should understand that, but that's why when there's those videos of the peaceful protests that are being scattered around social media, sana those are the ones that are being highlighted also. Because what
Right.
you see a lot of the looting, you see a lot of the back and forth with the cops, you see a lot of those, more of those than the ones where the cops are actually with the protesters. Like there's actually some of them that are doing that, and it's of course that's hard because there's gonna be so many, right? That like how do you know which to choose from? Some of the news organizations are gonna decide to use the ones with violence because that's clickbait. That's for
Right.
them to get more eyeballs, which is a little bit unfortunate. But it's a really tough situation to be in.
Well,
So I can't even understand. Honestly, I don't think you and I can even begin to understand how really bad the situation is if you're a black man living in the States, right? We don't know that.
yeah, I know. I wouldn't even pretend to understand
Yeah.
the amount of pain and suffering and paranoia and
Yeah.
angst that they have. growing up in such an environment, it's not a pleasant environment to be in, like where you're wondering if your relative goes out and are they going to make it home today. And when you see a cop, instead of feeling safe, you feel scared.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
man, that's such a difficult situation to live in now. But when you were talking about media, I just wanted to point out that today and yesterday I was going through Twitter. Twitter because it's the fastest one when you talk about
Yeah.
getting up to date info. I did see quite a bit of really amazing videos that restored my faith in humanity. There was one video I saw where the protesters were going to try to break into a Target. Did you see that one?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And a whole bunch of them got up there with sticks,
Yeah.
held the
Yeah.
crowd back, and said, "No, we're not doing this." I was impressed, and I was like, "Damn, that's what we need." And then I don't know if you saw naman the photos of the police that took a knee. God, I don't know if even that's the right metaphor, but they all took a knee. Much
Yeah. That was in
John,
Florida.
right? How he did it, right? So to show their solidarity with the protesters, and that was really amazing. And I also saw a video of a protester that was being handcuffed, and the other cop had his knee on his neck. The other cop actually grabbed the knee and pulled it away. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Right, and also one thing that really caught my attention that even got me emotional. I'm not even sure why I got really emotional about all of this, but it's affecting me. I don't know why. All across the other end of the world, there was these two black guys that were talking. One was 45, the other one was 31, and they were screaming. The 40. Did you see this one or no?
I did.
45-year-old was saying, "This is enough. We've got to. I'm willing to die right now for this." And then the 31 saying, "We can't do this." And then he grabbed the 15-year-old.
16.
16. He looked at the 16-year-old in the eye. The 16-year-old was looking at him saying, "You're going to be where I am today. Remember this. By the time you get here, make a difference." I was like, "Pooch," I was so affected.
Yeah, yeah.
That
because
was powerful.
it was because it was the guy was saying, right, the 45, 46-year-old guy was like, I've been through this already, blah, 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 and it's still happening. The 31, 32-year-old guy said, "It's still happening. I also went through this, blah, blah, blah." And then he saw the 16-year-old, like, he's going through it too. Like, this what's happening now is not the answer because it hasn't worked.
Right.
And that was a really moving video.
And the fact that there's a 15-year difference between the three of them, and the way how they were all absorbing this. Wow, I was like, I got so affected by it. The other one that caught my attention, I don't know if you saw this one, was when the cop was talking to the crowd. He took off his helmet, dropped his baton, and he said to everyone, "Yeah, you saw that one."
Yeah, it's like, "What do you need me to do? March with us, walk with us." And he walked.
And he goes, "Let's go." He goes, I was like,
yeah,
that's what we need.
Yeah.
And here's a question I will have for you. What do you think of Trump's response on Twitter to all of this?
Which one?
Exactly.
When the looting starts, the shooting starts. Like, that one. There was a bunch that he.
There's a bunch.
There's like, I don't know, man.
Or letting out the attack dogs. Did you see that one? And his ominous weapons. If they come here to the White House, I have the attack dogs ready or something like that, and my ominous weapons on standby. That's like, the heck are you talking about?
Like, it's. I mean, I understand the need for people to protect their businesses, to protect their homes, to protect that kind of thing. I get it. Like, who doesn't understand that,
right?
But if you're the president and you really should show some sort of unifying or something a little bit more caring, right? Like, he's completely just like, his answer for violence is more violence,
right?
And that's how this whole thing started.
Yep. But what do you do though? Like, what do you do about it? Because he's the president. What he says has that much impact. What he says is, I think it's making it worse, and I think
I think it's making it worse.
Did you see the crowds in Washington?
Outside the White House?
The White
Outside the White
House.
House.
Holy crap. I was like, oh Lord, this is not.
And you know what's insane? This is during a time when there's a pandemic that you're not supposed to be in crowds.
Yun pa. That's why I'm feeling for all
Like,
all the Americans right now, because wow, this is not the time to be doing this. But then I understand why they need to do this and stand up.
but you need to do it.
Yeah.
You need to do it, right?
You know that police finally is arrested, but he wouldn't have been arrested if it
Had it not
wasn't
been
for the
for-
protest. Did it have to?
Maybe he would. I think what was said about that is like it was the fastest they've ever arrested a cop.
Right.
And he was charged. It was the fastest. So maybe they would have eventually gotten there, but if this wasn't happening, I don't think it would have happened that fast.
Not only that, they actually got the Attorney General mismo, the Attorney General of that is it city or state, to personally be the one to file the charges and act on behalf of the state regarding this.
He was charged with what, third degree manslaughter.
Murder,
so it was,
but they wanted to
murder.
be first degree murder. But so they're complaining why is it not first degree? My perspective is just that for me, I think they're being strategic about it because they're also trying to figure out what will stick, what cannot be challenged, which will also give the same sentence or even a maximum sentence because of the number of charges. They're just trying to make sure that it sticks because the last thing you want is hastily done filing of charges, there are holes, and then the guy gets off scotch-free on a technicality.
So I think it's third degree murder plus manslaughter. So that equals still 30 years or something along those lines. Something along medyo mahaba din.
Yeah, and there were other charges pa. Abuse of power. There's so many charges they're filing. I'm trying to figure out what's like this. I see a lot of politicians now trying to weigh in on it. Do you think the Republican Party is still intact with solidly behind Trump after this?
Maybe not. I can't see how. Like I don't think so. Like I mean, where do you begin? Like it's
the whole
clearly there's such a big divide in the States though. Like and then that, just to give you an example, there's that whole thing even in social media, that hashtag Black Lives Matter.
Right.
And then there's people saying, well, all lives matter. The hashtag there's that hashtag too. But but just something as simple as that, right? Just to take it back a little bit. But that saying alone, all lives matter. If you truly believe that, then you believe Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
So parang like it. Why does it need to be? Why do they need to distinguish between the two? Like it's clear. That's given na yun. Given na yun na all lives matter. So parang.
Okay.
But right now, the Black community is the one that's suffering the most. And that's why that hashtag was born. It's not because they don't believe that all lives matter. That's all I'm saying. It's like even something as simple, something like that, already has some it's disjointed.
So you're saying that the Black Lives Matter hashtag has created some sort of differences in opinion regarding almost like a reverse discrimination, where you're saying that Black lives are more important than all other lives, and so there's that group that's kind of like voicing that concern.
But if you're thinking that way, if you're thinking that way, na parang no, not it's not just the Black Lives Matter, it's all lives that matter. But that's already given. Everybody knows that
To begin with, right? Why even state that?
Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that, and it's right now. What's being fought for is their lives, their lives,
right? And not only that, I think the Black Lives Matter hashtag is very relevant because what they're trying to point out is the discrimination that they're facing in terms of how they're treated, the abuse, and it's systematic abuse. This is not a one-time isolated incident. Remember, in the last how many weeks alone, how many Black people have died in the hands of police or people who are vigilantes acting like police,
Yeah.
shooting black men for the most frivolous or trivial of things, as jogging. I
Yeah.
mean,
Gosh.
damn.
Yeah.
E- even the statement, the statement that George Floyd said when he died, he was gasping for it. He goes, "I can't breathe." That statement, "I can't breathe," happened a few years ago.
Yeah, it was because the guy was selling cigarettes or something like that, and then the cops were on him again, and he couldn't breathe, and he
Choked
ended
him,
up.
choked
Yeah,
him to
that,
death. And I was so this is not this story is not one. It's not two. It's
yeah,
this is and these are
it's
just the ones that we know about.
yeah, and that's why that whole thing with just that perspective from something as simple as a hashtag. It's I know it's I can't. I'm curious to know why people don't see it. Like it's not it's you know what I mean? Like it's
I
like
don't think I don't think it's I don't think let me try to clarify that. I don't think it's like they can't see it. They refuse to. They intentionally ignore that part. I don't think there's a majority of it. I believe that that's a small minority, but it's a very small, loud minority with very powerful minority still. And that's why laws are not being changed. Even when Obama was in power, were they able to really change much? This you have a black man who became president of the United States, and yet still black people are being persecuted. Well,
yeah.
how does it end? How do you stop this? I mean, I don't know. Like this is really bad. And just as a point of reference, it was Eric Garner. Eric Garner, who
Yes.
uttered these words 6 years ago. He was in a chokehold, and he was saying, "I can't breathe," and they kept the chokehold until he died. Is this something that's exclusive to the United States? You think? You're talking about police
Uh
brutality and also systematic discrimination.
it honestly, well, I'll say this. It does seem like it's loudest there. It's most prevalent there, right? It's like I don't normally you don't normally hear this, at least not this bad in what in like Germany, France, UK. You don't normally hear it. You hear small pockets of it here and there, but it's not like this, not this intense.
Right.
And I don't get it. I honestly I've you mentioned Rodney King and some of the other ones that have sparked some sort of movement. I don't understand why it continues, why it's still as bad as it is.
So I watched the report that was saying that if you look at how the police training is in the States versus it is in some parts of Europe, you'll notice that there is a difference in the way they think mentality wise. So in the US, apparently, this is again, we're just talking opinion. Apparently, that the people that are being recruited as police because have this mentality of a warrior mentality. I'm going in as a warrior ready for battle.
Yeah.
Versus in other countries where the mentality is I'm going to be in the police because I'm going to be a guardian. And that the difference in words
Okay.
will attract two different types of people.
Yeah.
And because in the States they look at it more as a warrior coming into battle, that's the kind of people it attracts.
Combative na kaagad.
Yes, combative. So immediately as they see a confrontation, they pull out a gun, a mace, a taser, whatever, and they're ready to fight. Versus in other countries where there's a situation, they look at it as I'm trying to protect the citizens from themselves and harming others, so I will guard and stop you, not fight you. So that's the big difference. Is it possible that maybe they see a lot of violence and then maybe statistically they've shown that more black people are committing those violent crimes than other races? So they have the stereotype in their mind, whether it's true or not, but maybe they have this perception.
I don't know. I mean, there's Hollywood has kind of portrayed that, right, through the years.
Yep.
I mean, it's sometimes it's glorified in whether you're a artist, a musician, or whatever. Sometimes it is glorified, but I don't know. And maybe also it's because they're also put in situations that it's a little bit more, I don't know, susceptible to that. Like
The environment.
I use the environment that they're in, right? So it's hard. Are we products of our environment, or do we dictate to what environment we live in?
Well,
I
I would say that, of course. I mean, of course, the victim mentality would say that you're the product of your environment, but the person that's empowered would say that you have to be the one that affects change, and that's how it should be. But at the same time, it's not easy when you're faced with all of this
sure,
crime, negativity,
absolutely,
abuse, every day being perpetrated on you. It kind of really screws with your head, right? Um,
yeah.
I want to take it another route. How do you think is Joe Biden replying to it? How have you?
I don't know. I honestly haven't seen anything from Biden.
So I watched kasi Biden and and okay. So there's this accusation being thrown at him that Joe Rogan was one of them that was saying that he's not mentally there, he's not speaking coherently. And when I was watching him being interviewed on CNN, asking about the rioting and everything, I realized, holy cow, this guy has a difficulty answering the questions directly. He gets lost in his own thought. I did see that. And at the end of it, I saw the reporter kind of like, and trying to stop him. Mr. Vice President, and then he would stop him every single time to try to get him back on track. And it was difficult to get Joe Biden back on track. Now, not to say that that Trump's any better. Not to say that. I'm just saying that that you have two people who one is incendiary, just throws out flames, fire, fuel, all wherever. He just throws out a lot of garbage, and he does that intentionally. And then you have another guy who just can't seem to utter the right words to unite as well, or to I mean, I saw the reporter
was he kind of like walking on eggshells, making sure that he doesn't
say something? No, he was more he didn't seem like he knew what to say, period. The reporter was baiting him already, saying, Vice President Joe Biden, is there something you want to say to the people that's out there right now protesting? Because I know you understand their plight and the what they're going through. Like, he really was trying to give Biden so much ammunition, and Biden couldn't get it. And I was like, come on, Biden, pick it up. This guy is really cutting you so much slack. Go for it.
Yeah. Well, first, CNN wants him to win.
Yeah, well, dude, I think at this point, everyone wants him to win. Honestly, no, when I say everyone, of course, I don't generalize. I just mean that there are a lot of people that want him to win. Not because he's the best candidate, but he is the best alternative we have right now to Trump. I believe there are quite a few people that did not want Biden to be the Democratic nominee. I don't even think he's a great nominee. I remember we had this conversation, and you also agreed with me. But for political,
would you rather have Bernie there?
I would. Would you rather have Biden or Bernie?
I think Biden has a better chance, but I think Bernie has actually
no chance.
I don't think Bernie has a chance, but I think Biden has a better chance.
Are you serious?
But I think Bernie is actually the smarter guy between them.
But Bernie is more coherent, is a better thinker, I think, at least the way he presents himself, understands what the problem is. Winnability, I actually believe Sanders has a better chance of winning.
Really?
Against Trump, I think so. Because he is almost the stark opposite of Trump in his beliefs. Trump is the ultimate capitalist, money. While Bernie is the ultimate socialist. Take care of everyone, the people. And right now, everyone, I think, is starting to lean towards taking care of the people in the States. Capitalism over the last decade has failed America. perfect example was the one that happened in 2008 with the housing market, where capitalists made a killing. Even when the entire thing collapsed, people were losing homes, and these investment bankers were getting bonuses after a bailout. They were getting $100 million bonuses. Ridiculous. So I think there's a movement towards socialism in the US. And I think it's about time, especially with the lack of healthcare. There's so many issues that Americans are going through that's just not good. And I think Bernie would have been the perfect solution to that, because Trump is very strong as a political opponent. That's why I believe Bernie would have been the perfect opposite of that. But I think Biden will win by virtue of the fact that not because people like Biden, but because they just hate Trump.
Yeah, they don't want Trump to win. Yeah.
And right,
is there enough of those
today?
I mean, you're talking maybe middle America still dominates the United States, right?
Yeah, but I think
that's pro-Trump.
Right. But I think today there are more people that want Trump out than ever. I think today what I've been seeing over the last week has signified that there are people that are fed up with him because of the way, and he's digging his own grave. Every time he tweets, those tweets, I think he's digging his grave deeper and deeper now. And
so you think the whole thing, but he's going after Twitter now? Maybe Twitter's doing him a favor by shutting him up.
I think so. Honestly, I think Trump has to really understand now that what he's doing is making people's resolve in terms of voting against him and actually going out to vote stronger than it ever has. Because he is not uniting people. He is absolutely dividing them. And yeah, if the elections were held today, I think Trump would lose. Ah, boy. It's bad. And yes, Trump should be happy that Twitter is,
trying to silence
him. It's crazy. Yeah, let's hope for the best for that. Do you think things like that could ever happen in the Philippines?
Ooh. Well, I mean, we've seen media companies kind of have to go off air, go offline, go off whatever, because of the complaints from the government, right? I don't know.
So
I don't know. It's that's a tough question because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the answer. I think they'll try, but I think they could be silenced.
Yeah,
in the Philippines.
I'll tell you the difference. I think Americans are very, very different from Filipinos in how they deal with conflict. The Americans are very confrontational, which leads to very violent protests. I think Filipinos are very non-confrontational by nature, which leads to the peaceful protests. Even Hong Kong is fairly violent.
Yeah.
Protesters, you've seen them. I saw one douse a person with gasoline or something and threw a fire at him and lit him on fire.
Yeah, there's the ones in Hong Kong, right? I mean, have you heard of rumors? Again, they're just rumors. I don't know if they're 100% true or not. But some of the protesters are actually paid.
They also say that about the US, that there are some paid, not from the state, that are coming in. They've said that about Philippines as well when there were protests here. I think there will always be that narrative. Some people will try to put that narrative, true or not, and it could be. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that there is an interest to be able to sow that narrative, to be able to, for the police, for example, to create a lockdown, to enforce stringent rules, or even try to arrest people. There will always be that narrative that there are communist rebels that are infiltrating the protests. I mean, there is that narrative. Here's another narrative that I just heard from my relative in the States, that there are quite a few police that are actually undercover as
they've actually shown photos of it.
Why would they do that? That's dangerous.
They showed, I don't know, but they showed, like, you could see the earpiece, you could see the vest inside, and you could see the outline of the handcuffs in the pocket, in the back pocket. And he's dressed in casual clothes, but you can see the earpiece. You can see the earpiece, and then they're covered with like a beanie or something so that you can't see it totally. but you can see it. It goes up. So I don't know why. Maybe to blend in with the crowd a little bit more, and then to silence. I don't know.
No, I think it's a great strategy by the police because number one, first you get insider information on what's going on. You get to talk to the people down and like there and find out.
Yeah,
You hear something, you'll know because the police will not be able to hear it from that perspective because the police are on the
yeah,
other side barricading. Number one,
yeah,
so they can
yeah,
feed that information. Number two, if any looting starts, you look like you're on their side, so you say no, don't do that, guys. Let's not do that. People will listen.
mm.
That's just another way to be able to somehow quell the anger and calm everyone down. And I think it's a great strategy. So I think that there is a lot of solidarity with the people and the law enforcers. I do see that as much as there is the violence, but I think people are starting to come together against this. Even when you hear the government officials talk, the mayors, I mean, the mayors are doing a great job with their cities, the way they're communicating how to stop the looting. And I think people are hearing it. People are starting to hear it and starting to police themselves because they know the police
Yeah.
couldn't do that. But if they police themselves, the rioters will listen. And I think somehow there is hope for this. And
I sana naman, no. I mean, this is the worst I've seen it. Like
yeah,
in 40 years. I do recall Rodney King. I do recall watching some of the 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 protests, the rally during that time. I do remember seeing it on TV. But this is next level.
yeah,
This is, I mean, throughout the different cities around the states, like it's really it's all over the place. And hopefully this time around they'll be heard, that
yeah.
a change will be made, because otherwise it'll be all for nothing.
Well, I think the hard part is that I think one thing that's sure is that there will be convictions, but will the laws be improved or changed to make sure that this doesn't happen again? That's the more difficult
Is
question.
it the laws, or is it is it how some of the law, not lawmakers, but the law enforcers are, is it the way they interpret
Right.
the
Right.
laws?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right about that. Maybe the laws have already been in place, but maybe it's the training. So maybe creating certain laws to enforce training and also disciplinary action in case of abuse. Maybe that.
So I remember there was this movie, I like John Singleton's Higher Learning. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's about the melting pot of a college campus, and you have different racial backgrounds and different stereotypes that come up that are portrayed. But one of the things that in a scene in that movie, John Singleton, by the way, a African American director, one of the best ones out there. It was a scene in an elevator, and then this white blonde girl it was in the elevator, and then it opens, and then 5 black guys come in, and then immediately her instinct was to grab her purse. And I know it's just a movie, but you can't tell me in real life that doesn't happen, because it does.
Yeah.
And
Do you blame her?
it's a character she's playing in the movie, but
I
I
mean,
know for a fact.
yeah, it happens in
I
real
know
life.
for I know for a fact it does. I can't speak for a woman, but I know people who have gotten afraid in situations like that.
Right.
I know them, and some of them are friends of mine.
Right. And it doesn't mean they're racist.
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't think
But
so. I think it's because of what is being fed to
fed
them,
to them. Right.
right? Like it's not because you're not automatically racist. People aren't automatically that way. It's a learned behavior. It's a learned reaction, right? It's not something you're born. Oh, I am brown. I am yellow. I'm afraid of white people. I'm afraid of black people. Wait, that doesn't happen. In fact, like I because I grew up in an international school,
Yep.
and a lot of my friends were Chinese, and I didn't even know that they were Chinese. I was a kid, but in my head, I didn't know. I didn't know any. There was a difference.
In other words, there was no difference. For you, it was all the
There
same.
was not. There was.
I like that.
It
I
was,
like that.
Because as a kid, wala. So it is part of the reaction of that girl in higher learning, and it's the same reaction that I'm sure the director John Singleton was referring to that's happening around the world or outside of the film. It's because of what they learned or what they've seen through the movies, through TV, through whatever. It's really just there in society, and it's something that unfortunately is there, but we have to figure out a way to not let it make our decisions. Like not have that type of reaction.
I agree, but can you blame media for it? Can you really blame media? I mean, in reality, if you think about it, media is just really, unless you're saying that there's a systematic, intentional, intentional thought that they wanted to create perceptions of certain things happening. Much like when 9/11 happened and everyone started to think all Muslims are terrorists.
No.
I mean, do you blame media for that? Or do you blame the extremists for that? I mean, and then what do you say? Media don't cover, showing that they're not saying naman intentionally na they're Muslims. They're just saying it happens to be the fact that they are. I mean, just look, and then this is what happened. They come from this country. Do you blame media, or do you blame people? I mean, where do we blame? Who do we blame for this?
I wish I had that answer. I don't know. I don't know where it really comes down to. Like, a lot of people say, diba, parang the system's messed up. It doesn't work. But what system are you really referring to?
Yeah, let's hope for the best for the people, our friends, and everyone in the United States, and hopefully that not just that there's a resolution to this, but that there's something that they learn from this to move forward.
Hopefully now this will be the last one.
I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I hope, but not with this government, not with this current government in place.
Can you imagine
Another.
what the second wave of the virus would be like after this?
Sorry, are you referring to the second wave as in if Trump wins again? Is that what you meant by?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No. With all these protests, like what kind of numbers of the COVID-19 are they going to be getting after this?
My God, that's going to be insane. Actually, the numbers are going to be insane. I am sure there are going to be a lot of people that were infected because of these protests, and it's all over the United States. By the way,
it's all over. It's all over, and it's
scary,
and you can't blame them because some of them were willing to die for this.
Yeah, understandably so. I mean, this is something that needs a very strong response, and I think the response is proportionate to the crimes committed against the people. So, but it's just unfortunate that it's happening during a time of COVID-19. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Hey, thanks so much for that, Jinno. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's our first podcast. Love it. So hopefully everyone will join us for the next one.